5 running backs I'm looking to sell and trade away heading into Week 10. The first guy's Clyde EdwardsHelaire, and the thing with Hilaire, a few times he was on my buy list, but Hilaire, I just don't think he has the juice anymore, not even because of Le'Veon Bell. He's just not getting the job done as Hilaire. Yesterday he had 5 carries only for 14 yards, 3 catches, 20 yards, and a receiving touchdown that saved his fantasy day with 12 points in a PPR league. And Hilaire, he's only getting, it seems like now, 5 to 10 touches the whole game. Mahomes, the Chiefs offense operates its best when Mahomes is throwing downfield to Kelsey and Hill, and his underneath guys like Hardman and Robinson, and Watkins will be back in Week 11. But anyway, Hilaire now, he's going on by. Bell is there also, like we said. In the last 3 weeks, Hilaire really hasn't done anything spectacular. In Week 7, he only had 9 touches in that game. A touchdown bailed him out versus the Jets in a dream matchup last week. 9 touches again. He only had 6 fantasy points. And then this week in a nice, good matchup, he had 12. Now he's going on by. It's time to sell him with the trade deadline this week in some fantasy leagues. Go out there and trade EdwardsHelaire. Maybe you could get a good piece. I know his value's low, but this guy, I don't know if I could roll with him the rest of the year because he's got a bad floor and his ceiling ain't that high. This year he's only cracked 20 fantasy points twice in 9 games. So sell Hilaire. The next guy is another rookie, Jonathan Taylor, the Indianapolis Colts. I don't know if you could get anything for him at all, but I wouldn't drop him either. So Taylor, he's a guy that's just going to ride the pine for you. If he didn't get a touchdown yesterday, he was going to have a lackluster performance with 3 fantasy points. He was a guy I had on my dud list, and I think I hit it on the head with this one in a tough matchup with Baltimore. He had 6 carries only for 27 yards and 2 catches for 7 yards and the fumble loss, like I mentioned. So Taylor, he's a guy you can't trust. He's a guy I'm going to look to sell this week. He's got a matchup Thursday night versus Tennessee. Taylor, he was good the first few weeks, but now since Week 6, he hasn't done anything. So Taylor, I would go and sell him. Wilkins, he out-touched him. Frank Reich, he benched him for most of the game with the fumble. So this rookie, things are just getting worse for him as the season's going on. So he's a guy I'm going to try to trade and get away from. The third guy is Kareem Hunt. We spoke about him a few times now. Maybe right before Chubb comes back, without any report that he's definitely coming back this week, this is the time to trade Hunt. Hunt, he'll still have a role in this offense, but he's not going to get the work and the volume like he did with Nick Chubb there. Hunt, he's a good change of pace back. He had better games than as a starter, believe it or not, in the first 4 weeks before Chubb went down in Week 4. So Hunt, he's been up and down. He was on bye this week, so maybe you could sell him in a nick of time before Chubb comes back in Week 10 versus Houston. And I still think you could get a decent number 2 or 3 receiver for Kareem Hunt, because like I said, he'll have a role, but he's just not going to get all the volume of 20 touches a game like he has in the last few weeks. So go out there and try to trade him. The fourth guy is David Montgomery, another guy that I've been saying for weeks I don't like him. He was on my bench list this week in Week 9 versus Tennessee, and I was right about him also. 5 fantasy points, 14 carries for 30 yards, and 3 catches for 12 yards and a fumble. The volume's there for Montgomery, but he's just not a good running back. He's in a bad system. Nick Foles, he's not a good quarterback. That Bear offense is pathetic, scoring 20 points a game this year, but somehow they're still 5-3 on the season, or 5-4, whatever it is. And Week 11, Montgomery has the bye. He banged his groin up in this game, and we saw the rookie Norman, a groin and a concussion, actually it is. He's in protocol. So Ryan Nall, if he's out there in your leagues, which he is in majority, he's a guy to go look at. He had a receiving touchdown as well in this game. So Nall, he might be a better running back with these touches next week. We'll see. But Montgomery, he just can't get the job done. The most he scored this year was 18 points in Week 5, and since then, the highest he's got is 13. So he's a guy I'm looking to sell. Plus, he's banged up now. Try to just get anything for him, and he goes on by in Week 11. The next guy and final guy is Todd Gurley, who's usually on this list. And once again, touchdown-dependent Gurley, we call him. He scored his 9th touchdown of the year for the Atlanta Falcons, but once again, the yards per carry, like I said for Gurley, each and every week just wasn't there. The volume is there for Gurley, but now the Falcons, they're going to go on bye in week 10, and Gurley, he looks slow now. He looks old. I know he's getting the goal line and stuff. Brian Hill, he's been pretty decent for this Falcon team. So now with Gurley going into a bye week, this is the time to sell him. Hey, you could tell a manager he's got 9 touchdowns. Where you finding this production? And Gurley, he's still a solid number 2 running back, but I just don't see him having these big games. The last few weeks, low yardage per carry, and the touchdowns have bailed them out just like it did this week for Todd Gurley, who only had 53 yards in the touchdown, and he don't catch the ball. So that's 5 running backs I'm looking to trade off and sell heading into week 10.